Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Gary Dunn Show. I'm Gary Smith, joined by Coach Dunn as always. It's a beautiful Tuesday afternoon as we shoot this. It's an election day, so hopefully everyone gets out and does their civic duty. And I think it's now time, Coach. We announce our run for 2024.
Right. Yeah.
Our campaign is we're not going to text anybody, we're not going to put any signs up, and we're not going to run any ads. So I think we'll probably win in a landslide.
I'm good with it. I voted first thing this morning on my way to work. So.
Excellent.
I encouraged our players last night to get out and vote, and so obviously it's a big day.
Yeah, it's a huge day, and it's another day in the middle of the week. Football season's still going on. We'll take a look at this past week's game against Gannon. And Coach, coming into the game, if you looked at the previous week's results, Gannon put up 46 on IEP. We put up 44 on Mercyhurst. So you think that it's going to be an offensive explosion, but it was an exact opposite. It was a defensive slugfest, pretty much an old-fashioned style football game.
Yeah, both defenses I thought played really well. Going into the game, I thought Gannon probably had one of the best defenses we faced. They're extremely talented up front, and we knew it was going to be a hard day. Obviously, I'm disappointed. We didn't make enough plays. We had opportunities in that game to make enough plays to win, and unfortunately we didn't, and that's on me. I've got to figure out a way to get this bunch over the hump. You go back to a year ago, we win all our close games, and unfortunately this year we've struggled in the close games. I think there's 3-4 minutes left to go in the game. We're driving to take the lead. We were down by 5, and we turned the ball over. It just kind of seems that towards the end of games, everything that could go wrong has gone wrong for us, and that's on me. I've got to get it corrected, and I've got to get our guys over the hump.
Yeah, I mean, despite the result with the loss, but there was some positives to take out. I mean, like you said, the defense played outstanding. I know some injuries on that side of the ball, but I mean, they really did a good job keeping a guy that threw 6 touchdowns the week before pretty much in check.
Yeah, our defense did a really good job. For us, it starts with stopping the run. And, we did a great job, all the way until probably their last offensive play is stopping the run. I think we don't give up that run after a controversial call, and we got a turnover, but we had a roughing the passer. And it was a good call. It was the correct call. I think we kind of let up a little bit there, but we hold them to, I think, 10 yards rushing if we don't give up that run. I thought our defensive backs, we had some guys that were out injured, played extremely well, competed and battled all day. Our defense did a really good job. The only thing I talked to them about yesterday was we still had plays out there to make. They put the ball on the turf 3 times. We didn't get any of them. The first drive, I think the first or second drive of the game, we caused a fumble. It's in our hands and we don't get it. We caused a muffed kick on special teams. We don't get it. There was another fumble in that game that we don't get. And what our guys got to understand is any one of those plays changes the game. I thought we gave up I thought obviously the big thing in the game was Gannon won the special teams battle, and that was really the difference. We gave up a block punt for a safety. We gave up a big kickoff return. And when you're playing a really good football team like Gannon's 8-2 right now. They won a share of the West, playing really good football. When you lose the special teams battle and you give up points on special teams, it's hard to overcome that. So, that's kind of the story of the day. We had a great meeting yesterday with our guys. The character of our guys and the culture of our program is strong. And, I went up kind of wondering how practice was going to be last night. And, man, did we have a good practice. Our guys are locked in, they're battling, they're competing. We just got to turn the tide in those close games. And unfortunately, in the fourth quarter, we haven't done that this year. We had an opportunity Saturday and didn't take advantage of it. So we'll move on to this week. We'll keep working. We'll keep battling. And I know our guys will show up to compete.
Well, you talk about the character of the team and being able to bounce back. Like watching the game as a fan and seeing a lot of football. You mentioned the block punt, and then there was a crazy play where fumble happened and bounced right up into the Gannon's receivers and ran it for the touchdown. I mean, a lesser team would have packed it in. Both of those plays were early, but from there, I mean, you guys just bared down and it was back and forth.
You look at and give Gannon credit. Gannon's a really good football team. They're extremely well coached. Like I said, I thought their defense was one of the better defenses we faced, and offensively, they've got weapons all over the field. We give up a long kickoff return that leads to 1 score, and then we cause a fumble and it pops up into the kid's hand and he runs for a touchdown. That's 14 points of their game right there. You add 2 for the safety on the punt, and that's 16 points. Our defense played phenomenal all day. I loved the spirit and the energy. And, Coach Turner, I thought, did a really good job talking to those guys about halftime. Hey, is we're going to play with great emotion. We're going to play with great effort. And I thought they did that all game long. Offensively, we had some chances, and unfortunately, we didn't take advantage of it. And I thought we did a really good job of moving the football. If you look if you just, and I'm not a stats guy, but if you look at the stats, you think, boy, Cal won that game. But we got down in the red zone. We had to kick 2 field goals. We got down in the red zone again and turned it over. And that's the difference in the game, But I tell you, our kids are going to battle and compete. I love our group. They come to work every day. Things haven't went our way a couple times this year, but man, are they a good group to be around, and I'm looking forward to this weekend.
And before we look forward to this weekend, let's take a look back at this past week's action against the Gannon Golden Knights, and then after the break, we'll talk about this upcoming week's opponent, the Stroudsburg Warriors. You're watching the Gary Dunn Show right here on CUTV.
Snap. Scarpino's kick is up, and Scarpino's kick is good. Biko's kick is up. Biko's kick is good. So with 9:17 left here in the second quarter, we're tied at 3. Curtis in the shotgun. Fakes the handoff. Quick pass. Complete. It's going to get brought down past the line, but it's going to get fumbled and picked up and in for a touchdown. Rosen still gets that one blocked. Gannon was swarming to get the ball, kicking it all the way back, and it's getting recovered. There's going to be a pile for it in the end zone, waiting to see who's going to come out on top of that.
I think the Vulcans might have fell on this one, but I think it's going to go as a safety.
Curtis gets the snap under some pressure. Pass towards the end zone. That pass is going to be caught for the touchdown. Tarrant with the hold. The kick is up, and the kick is good. Mitchell gets the snap. He's going to delay the handoff to McCann. McCann gets his way into the end zone for the touchdown. Mitchell looking, quick pass. That pass intercepted by Gannon. Kennan bringing this one past midfield. Hands this one off to Blanks. Blanks, wide open lane. Blanks is going to go all the way into the end zone for the touchdown.
Do you love sports? Then you should know about STEM. Because maximizing nutrition, analyzing peak muscle performance, calculating the perfect shot, and more are all made possible by science, technology, engineering, and math. In fact, there are more careers than ever in sports science. So if you have a passion for sports, then think about getting involved in STEM and improve everyone's game on and off the field. Get inspired at SheCanSTEM.com.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? I'm high. Oh.
And welcome back to the Gary Dunn Show. Once again, I'm Gary Smith, joined by head coach Gary Dunn. And before we talk about this week's opponent, East Stroudsburg, let's take a look back at all the action this past weekend, go through the scores. Last weekend of the regular season, we talked about Gannon and Cal. Edinburgh goes to the Rock and loses 28-21. That was a game that was close to the very end. IUP at home beats Clarion 45-0. And then Seton Hill and Mercyhurst, we talked about a defensive game. That was the epitome of defensive game, 7-0. Seton Hill gets their second win of the year over Mercyhurst. And over in the East, Westchester beats Kutztown 28-9. A little bit of an upset there. Both teams have been going up and down this year. Shippensburg goes to Lock Haven, wins 44-7. And then Shepherd beats East Stroudsburg 37-14. And then Millersville wins 25-17. And quickly looking at the standings, we see at the top here, setting up for the PSAC title game this weekend, IEP and Shepherd. That'll be at IEP. But we have a home game this week, Coach, and that is against East Stroudsburg. And it's a team, A, if you look at the map, it's about the 2 furthest points of the map in the PSAC. And B, it's a team that historically, I think Kyle's only played like maybe 9 or 10 times. So not a lot of history, recent history in the game. But I know you and your staff have been watching film, and they're a bunch that, can do a lot of things. So what have you seen on film?
I'll tell you, they're very, very similar to us. Their season has broke down pretty much how ours has. They've lost a lot of close games. They opened the season, I think, with Indiana. Indiana kicks a field goal as time expires. They beat Ship in a close game. They lose to Millersville in a close game. They are playing really good football, and they're like I said, they're in every game. They're just like us. They're a balanced offense. They've got a big quarterback, similar to the quarterback we faced last week, but he's probably a little bit more of a runner, can run it. They've got some big play receivers. They're averaging 300 yards a game, and it's pretty balanced. It's 123 and 172, whatever. Hopefully my math is right. They're really disciplined offensively, and they're really balanced. Defensively, very similar to Gannon. They are big up front. They are good up front. Their 2 inside linebackers are good football players. Their corners are good players. It's going to be a tough test. We've got to play our best, and we've got to play every play of this game, and we've got to do a better job of finishing the game in the fourth quarter. But their season has kind of broke down. It's kind of funny that we're playing these guys exactly like ours. They've lost some really, really heartbreaking close games, and played Shepherd last week. We're up 14-0 on Shepherd early in the game, and then end up losing it in the second half. But a really good football team and extremely well coached.
Now, for a game like this, opponent, I mean, for preparation-wise, I'm trying to think how I want to phrase the question. Is it mentally better or easier to prep for a team that you haven't seen just because it's all new, or would you rather see somebody that, hey, we've seen every year, but can kind of be a mental ground that, hey, okay, we've seen this film in the last 4 years. How much more can we find?
Yeah, no, it's each week's different. Everybody week to week is different. And that's the great thing about college football, I think. There's so many different offenses and defenses. East Stroudsburg does some things that no one else on our schedule done. They'll play an even front. They'll jump into an odd front. They'll walk backers up all over the place and blitz on third down. They've got a really unique defense. And Gannon was different than everybody we've seen. Gannon plays really, we talked about it last week, a 3-safety package, a 3-man front, base out of a 3-4. With 3 safeties. You go back to Mercyhurst. Mercyhurst was a 3-4 defense, but more traditional 3-4. So it's fun each week getting in there on Sundays to try and figure out what teams are doing. And it is a little bit tougher when you haven't played a team. The teams in the West we play every year, we know pretty much, unless they get a new coaching staff, what they're going to line up, what they're going to do. We pulled last year's game plan out. Okay, this was good, this wasn't. With East Stroudsburg, it's totally different. So, it takes a little bit more time. We were just working on our red zone plan last night and this morning. Our players are off today for election, new NCAA rule. Our players aren't practicing today. I told you when we started, it's the first time in 25 years I don't have a practice on a Tuesday. I'm not sure what to do, which just means we're going to have more time to watch film with the coaches and get our plan ready.
Well, if you want, Coach, I'm not going to volunteer, but I'll send some of my crew up if you want to put them through some drills just to keep the whistle going for the week.
I think that would be allowed by NCAA rules, but our athletic department, we don't have their physicals and their paperwork. So you tell your crew they're off for election day too. Fair enough.
Yeah. Tom, you can fade to black. He's in the studio. But that game, that's going to be this Saturday at noon at Adamson Stadium. Come on out, and Coach, another thing we've got to talk about is last game of the regular season, Senior Day.
Sure.
And you have a great group of seniors, and it's going to be tough seeing them go, but what has this senior class meant to you?
Yeah, I tell you, I feel like these guys have been here forever with COVID, and what a great group to be around. From our program top to bottom, I've really enjoyed this year. They show up to work every day. They're good young men. They do well in the classroom. We had 20 guys do a community service event 2 Sundays ago. When these guys are grinding through practices, classes, weights, they still have time. We've got a bunch of guys that have signed up to play in a cornhole tournament for a sorority this Friday. So just really good guys, and going to miss their leadership and just going to miss being around them. It's kind of funny. You're with these guys probably more than you are with your family. and they've made obviously an impact on Cal football just the way they carry themselves every day.
Well, I know it's amazing how fast time flies because I remember, we're lucky we get to see Noah a lot because he helps out at the station doing basketball and helping out doing other shoots. But I remember, it seems like yesterday, it was in the summer, you're walking by, hey, I want to introduce you to a new recruit, he's interested in TV, and then boom, 5 years later,
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Well, it's funny. Graduation and seniors, I always tell this story. I was over at graduation a couple years ago, and our former president, President Jones, said to me, "Isn't this wonderful? All these guys graduate." And I said, "No, it's horrible." And she was what do you mean? I said, "Listen, I've taken these guys for 4 years, and they're who I want them to be now. They're grown men that do everything the right way. You don't have to coach them on stuff, and then they leave and you got to start all over." So I'm not the biggest fan of graduation as most people on college campuses, that's for sure.
Well, I'm the same way, Coach. We have the same thing here. You get a good group, and then you get them to where you want to be, and then they have to go out in the real world. But that is life. But like I said, it's going to be weird next year not seeing some of those familiar faces that we've seen. But that's in the future. We got a game this week, Saturday. Come on out, Vulcan Nation. Let's get a good crowd up there. Weather. I'll let you do it.
Another great day, it looks
yeah.
like, right? And we were talking about that as a coaching staff. We're used to being in big, heavy jackets, winter hats, and winter gloves out there. I was at practice last night at 7 o'clock in shorts and a short sleeve pullover. So weather will be great, and this bunch is going to work hard. I can promise you that. They're going to compete, and they're going to show up to battle.
And that's Saturday at noon. Get in the stadium early for the pregame ceremonies and everything like that, and get your tailgating in, get in the stadium. If you can't make it there, CUTV has you covered on CUTV Sports 1 on YouTube and also on the PSAC network. And real quick, I'm just going to go through the rest of the schedule. Crossover the last week of the year. Stroudsburg, California, we talked about that. Shepherd at IUP for the title. And then Westchester at Clarion. Lock Haven at Edinburgh. Millersville at Seton Hill. Bloomsburg at Merciers. Kutztown at Slippery Rock. And Shippensburg at Gannon. So
Good football all around the league this weekend.
Good football, and since it's a crossover, you're going to see a lot of PSAC stickers on the turnpike going left and right because I'm looking down here. There's not a lot of backyard brawls on this one.
I'm glad they're coming this way. I'll tell you that. I'm glad that the buses are coming out west rather than us going out east. That's for sure.
And there's no better place to spend a Saturday in November than at Adamson Stadium. So, Coach, we'll see you Saturday. Vulcan Nation, we'll see you Saturday. For Coach Dunn, this is Gary Smith. And remember, 2024, Gary and Gary, mark it down.
Hey, just wanted to say appreciate you guys and all you do for us and your crew and the time that they put in. It's a huge deal for us.
Well, it's our pleasure. It's always great to see the journey and again, it's hard to believe that we're in November. It just seems like a few weeks ago I was showing kids what a punter is.
There you go.
Every August, got to show them what the punter is. But like I said, 2024, we're running for president. So. For Coach Dunn, I'm Gary Smith. We'll see you next week on The Gary Dunn Show.